division. Fix our economic system in our country. People are starving. People can't afford basic needs. And you're ripping our loved ones away from us because you don't have the courage to fix our broken immigration system. It's been inhumane for decades. Shame on us, both Democrats and Republicans, for not doing what's right in this chamber and doing what is right for the American people and making sure we're not separating families. With that, Mr. Chair, I yield.
Chair recognizes Mr. Palmer from Alabama.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to point out that under Article 6 of the Constitution, the Supremacy Clause, that by declaring your states sanctuary states, you declared your intent to violate federal law. For that, are you aware that illegal aliens with known ties to terrorist organizations are now residing in the United States? That's a yes or no. Quickly, yes or no. Governor Walz.
I don't have firsthand knowledge, but I would assume
You should
yes.
have. Governor Pritzker.
I know that's been alleged. I don't have firsthand knowledge myself.
You should have. Governor Hochul.
My Joint Terrorism Task Force has surveillance.
Ma'am, that's a yes or no. Either you know or you don't.
We are aware.
That's amazing. Considering that the Customs Border Patrol reported just in fiscal year 23, 736 encounters with illegal aliens with ties to terrorist organizations. And there's it's 2.2 million estimated gotaways. We have no idea how many known terrorists are in our country. Do you support the arrest and deportation of illegal aliens with ties to terrorist organizations? A yes or no? Governor Walz.
If due process is given, certainly.
Governor Pritzker.
Exactly. We need
Governor
due
Hochul.
process before we arrest people.
Yes or no?
Anyone involved in a crime, we
Ma'am,
cooperate.
yes or no?
We cooperate whenever
Ma'am, you
with any
cannot
crimes.
give a straight answer, and the answer is you're giving safe harbor to people with ties to terrorist organizations. Are you aware of that? Let me tell you. You're shielding members of known terrorist organizations such as MS-13, Trinidad Aragua, Brown Pride Azteca, Barrios Azteca, Serenos, which is otherwise known as SIR-13, and the 18th Street Gang. Those are designated terrorist organizations. Many of these are the people responsible for bringing fentanyl in that's killed, along with other drugs, killed over 100,000 people per year. We're no longer in a war on drugs. We're involved in a war with drugs. These are casualties. Are you aware that the Department of Homeland Security identified over 400 illegal aliens who were smuggled into the United States with the help of an affiliate of ISIS? Are you aware of that, Governor Walz?
Congressman, I don't have direct knowledge of that.
Well, I'll help you. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to enter to the record article from NBC News. DHS identifies over 400 migrants brought in the United States by an IS-affiliated human smuggling network. Is that a problem?
Without objection to order.
Does that raise any concern for you?
None of us want terrorists in this country.
Then why are you shielding people here from being picked up by our ICE agents, referring to this as a Gestapo organization? You know, I never want to get up on another morning like I did on September 11th, 2001. There are people in this country who are here with the full intent to do us harm. They came across our borders illegally. 358 of them crossed the northern border into New York. Not all of them into New York, but some of them came through New York. There's arms smuggling across the Canadian border into New York. And you're shielding these people. Are you aware that if just 0.5% of the estimated 15 million, 14.7 million to be exact, that came into our country illegally during the Biden administration, if just 0.5% are tied to criminal organizations or terrorist organizations, that constitutes more than the combined active duty forces of the Army and Marines? Does that not strike you as something that should be of great concern to us?
Since you raised New York, I'd like to answer.
Are you aware?
We cooperate fully with all investigations, particularly terrorists. I mean, you
Well, how do
cannot
you know
say
if they're
9/11 and not invoke
How do you
incredible
know,
emotion
Governor
from us.
Hochul, that they're terrorists if you don't allow people to be picked up who came here illegally to at least give an account for their presence?
We say
How
they
do you
should be vetted
know
at the
if they're
border.
not part of that 400 that we know came in through an ISIS-affiliated human smuggling operation? You don't know. You're not even looking into that.
You're pointing to an abject failure of
I'm
the
not.
federal government
I'm
to
not
do its
pointing at
job to
anything.
secure
What
our
I'm
borders.
pointing out here is that your sanctuary policies now constitute a threat to our national security.
We cooperate in all criminal investigations.
You are engaged
Always
in
have, always will.
operations against federal government attempts to enforce federal law that I think now constitutes a threat to our national security, and you're in violation of federal law.
That's 100% false.
And charges for obstruction should be brought against each one of you for doing this. I'll leave that up to the Department of Justice. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Crockett from Texas.
Mr. Chairman.
And Mr. Chair,
Point of order, point of order. That was intimidation of the witness.
Do you have a point of inquiry?
Yes, I have a point of inquiry.
State your point.
Raising the prospect of charges against witnesses is a form of intimidation, is it not? Thank you. Thank you, and I withdraw the question. I appreciate it.
Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett.
thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you so much to our governors. And I want to say I apologize. I apologize for the abuse that you are facing in this committee that is supposed to be about waste, fraud, and abuse. And I also apologize for wasting your time, because this is nothing more than political theater. Now, again, this committee is supposed to be about waste, fraud, and abuse. We did not have to have this faux creation of Doge. The committee itself, that is our job. So what I want to talk about is something that the American people may want to know, which is economically, how is this impacting them? These failed immigration policies that are only put on so that they can have a show, because we have a reality show president who seemingly still believes that this is all about TV instead of real lives. So let me talk about something really quickly, because I want to clarify something, because I believe that all of you understand the importance of something like tourism. Are you aware, any of you, are you aware as to whether or not tourism in the United States is anticipated to decrease to the extent that we are estimated to lose $12.5 billion in international vendor spending in just the year 2025?
I can answer as the tourism capital of the country.
I assume you could.
Tourism is already down. It is down in the North Country, where the Canadians refuse to come over because of the hostility toward their country. It's happening in New York City. It's happening at our sporting events here, our theater. There's a ripple effect throughout our entire economy because of the change in attitude that our country, that once welcomed people from all over the world to visit and recreate and to live here, now feels like a very hostile place to them. It is going to have an economic impact on our bottom line, without a doubt.
So let's talk about it a little bit more. So I am supposed to have a number of FIFA games in Dallas, and I am fully anticipating that we are going to have a problem, because I've been receiving phone calls that people don't feel safe coming here, and it's not the immigrants. It's this government that is making them feel unsafe. But let me also do this, because they love to cherry pick. They can find, any one person that has been killed, and if they've been killed by an immigrant, then God darn it, every single immigrant is going out and they are killers, and that is the problem. But they don't want to talk about white supremacy. I don't know how many hearings we gonna have about the fact that there's been this one immigrant that killed this one person. And no, I'm not excusing any killings by them or white supremacists, but they haven't had these hearings. We didn't have a hearing on Buffalo and what happened there. We didn't have a hearing on El Paso and what happened there. We didn't have a hearing on Charleston and what happened there. So it's interesting that they pick and choose, because it seems like they love to pal around with the white supremacists, and so they don't want to talk about certain other things. But economically, I want to make sure that we're making this point again, because I know that Governor Pritzker, you were the beneficiary of a lot of things from the state of Texas. And a lot of people believe that Republicans are fiscally responsible, but instead they are actually fiscally irresponsible, because what he spent was a whopping $221 million transporting people from Texas to your state. Something tells me that he could have done something else with that $221 million. In addition to that, I know that there's been some conversations about what's going on in LA, and they want to say that it's riots because they didn't want people to keep talking about, say, the Epstein files or whatever other drama was popping off between the president and his little friend. So they wanted to change the conversation to immigration because they feel like, well, the polling is in our benefit. But let me tell you something. If they cared about making sure we were going to be fiscally responsible, they would tell the American people that it cost them $134 million to send the National Guard to LA for the quote-unquote riots that the governor didn't ask for, nor did the mayor of LA ask for, and they sent them over there, and they say that they care about our service members, yet they sent them and they were laying on the floor. They did not provide for food. So I don't know why we would believe that, number one, they want to fix this. They don't want to fix this, because the brokenness is a feature, not a flaw of the system, because it is beneficial to them when it comes to campaigning. If they can't stoke fear, then why are they going to, say, have anybody vote for them? Because that's what people are doing. They're voting out of fear. But Ms. Perryman, we know each other a little well. And I know you got a law degree. And it seems like we all need law degrees in here nowadays to understand the Constitution. So really briefly, I just want to make this point. There is a certain person that was afforded, say, due process. But let's say if, say, Donald Trump had been charged with all of these cases that he got charged with in 4 different jurisdictions, if he wasn't afforded due process, there could have been a possibility that he just would have been locked up and thrown somewhere, right?
That would be a possibility.
And then maybe we wouldn't have a tariff war or anything else that we're dealing with or all the other nonsense. But the point is, he was afforded due process, and regardless of the political opposition, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, I thought, believe that due process should be afforded to everybody, even him.
Due process is for everyone.
Okay, so the Fifth Amendment doesn't say that it's just for the people that are Americans?
It does not.
It says anybody on our soil?
It's for everyone.
Okay, it's pretty simple. I don't know why we are having issues, but I thank you and I will yield.
Right, we have been listening right here on Capitol Hill as the 3 Democratic